If you look back at some of the other pivotal moments in Trufan's lifespan thus far, the two biggest ones that obviously come to mind is probably the two acquisitions, right? The acquisition of SocialRank, the acquisition of Player. So how does this pivotal moment in the company differ from those previous ones? Because now that you're building the product yourself and not acquiring another platform.
I think we get more direction and we get more clarity. The interesting thing about the two acquisitions was that we weren't even trying to. Um, Alex Taub, was just a friend, right? And we liked their company and we thought they were awesome. And I got on a catch-up call with him just to see how he was doing. Literally no intention of reaching out, M&A. It's like, hey man, like you guys are awesome and like you're a really dope dude. What they're building right now with Upstream is awesome. Like just catching up. And all of a sudden he goes, yeah, we're sunsetting, SocialRank because we have a lot of conviction for this other idea. I'm like, what? Like, what does that mean? What do you mean you're sunsetting? It's like, oh, we're pretty much turning it off. And I'm like, oh, okay. Sad about it, thought about it. I'm like, hey man, like, there's a lot of synergy between our two products. Could we bring in some of your technology? Because we were hearing from our customers that they wanted to do more. They liked, I think at the end of the day, the acquisitions always just came from a stem of our customers wanted to do more with us. And, the SocialRank acquisition was really great because it was, a new piece of technology that really complemented, and it was very easy to integrate and we were off to the races. The Player acquisition was, candidly, it was just as much about the team as it was about the product, right? I can't name everyone, but, Andrew, Kieran, Rod, Lucas, Sarah, Ryan, Austin, I'm probably missing JR, like I'm probably missing people. And if I did, I apologize, but the team was great and we just synergized really, really well. And we said, they want the same vision that we want. The conviction that they had, the vision that they had was a very similar vision. They were just coming at it from a different angle than us. So it just made sense to kind of consolidate the forces. And obviously we were a bit bigger in the sense of revenue and other stuff, but they were really, really incredible people that we were happy just to bring on. So I guess this differentiates because it's, we have 100,000% of the direction, and it's entirely, every piece is being led by someone who's been a part of the company for a minimum of 8 months, right? Versus the Player acquisition, Andrew was our CTO, but we just got to know him. You know what I mean? Now everyone's been sipping the Trufan Kool-Aid for the last 8 months. So there's a strong conviction from, Swish down to, interns that were with us for a couple months over the summer.
And kind of back to that original, the SocialRank acquisition, what is the stat? Something like 70% of acquisitions of tech, or what is it? 70% of acquisitions failed in the first year because they can't manage the new tech. So how did you guys go about integrating that tech into Trufan so that it didn't fail? Because like that was still very early on in Trufan's lifespan. Like there's bigger companies that have acquired tech and it hasn't worked out. So how did you guys make it work?
I think it's humility and it's just really embracing it. I think a lot of people, when they acquire a company, there's this mentality of like, oh, we're better because we acquired them. And, we looked at it objectively. We said, this thing of ours is not great. Theirs is really good. This thing of theirs isn't the best, and ours is better. And we just really tried to sew the best pieces of the technology together and be very, very objective about it. To be honest, there was no ego. There was no, some founders don't want to give up things that they built because it's their baby, it's their product. Swish and I were like, theirs is better. Bring it in. We don't care. We're not ashamed to say that they built, their version of this was better than our version of this. That's why we wanted to bring them in the first place, right? So I think that's really what allowed us to do well, is that there was very low ego. It was just, hey, we want to take of the resources that we have, we want to take what we can to build the best product and experience for our customer. That's what matters. Nothing else matters. And that objective mindset, I think, allowed us to succeed.
And then, so you mentioned with Player was mainly, it was like, obviously there was the acquisition of the product, but also a team, which is completely different from the SocialRank acquisition, because SocialRank was no team as far as I'm aware. It was just product. So then how, obviously, like I was there, I kind of got to watch it, but from your perspective, like how did you guys go about integrating the Player team? Because integrating a product is one thing, but integrating people is a completely different ballgame.
Again, I think it's just a mutual respect thing again, and a humility thing, right? The first call that Swish and I had Andrew as CTO was like, you're the CTO. This is your tech team. This is not, you are like, and that was just our approach, right? It's like, we brought these people on for a reason, give them the responsibility and get them excited, right? I think, I hear this from some of my friends whose companies have been acquired, where it's like, during the acquisition process, they talk to you like, you know, you're the coolest person in the world. And then as soon as you join the company, no one cares and everyone's bored and, no one, and that was the last thing I wanted. It was like, you guys are super talented. Here are the reins. Do what you do best. And if you do that, then people, and we were confident that the people we were bringing on would step up to that challenge. That's why we had conviction about bringing them in, and they have, and more. And I think that's how you succeed. At the end of the day, I think so much of it is just being willing to let go and give other people responsibility. I think, you know, if you can do that, then I think you can succeed.
And so, how has your day to day kind of, or how did it change once the player team came on board?
I was a lot less involved in engineering, which is such a good thing for our customers and whoever. Obviously, I got to focus more on product. I love product and I like data, but I'm not like, Andrew is much better at solving an engineer's problem than me. And when I mean much better, I mean like a million times better because he's been an engineer, a very high level engineer for 20 plus years. I have been an engineer, an average one at that, for like 2 years, right? So I think that was really cool is that, I got to focus more on product and operations, and I had to learn what that meant and how to shift my focus. But I've really enjoyed that. And I love working with Andrew and the engineering team because I'm a lot more focused on product and design. I get to work with Lucas and Andrew and our engineers, and less so like, how are we planning this sprint? And funny thing is that although I've been less involved, I've learned so much more because we have someone like Andrew who's leading, that I've learned just so much from him. So yeah, I've got to focus on some other stuff, which has been really, really, really cool, and I've enjoyed it.
And so, what have you kind of with the acquisition, the team size, which I remember when I first started working with Trufan, it was like, I think my first team call had like 7 people on it or something, like versus now it's over 40 people. So, how have you kind of adapted, evolved as a leader in these last, I'm trying to think, been like just over 18 months now. I think February is when I started to like, it's just crazy. It's like, how have you changed as a leader in that time?
Yeah, we're 25 full time. And then, like you said, if you add in all the interns and the contractors and even, the agency partners that we work with, the overall Trufan, community is, yeah, like you said, close to 40. But even 25 full time people is insane. Like it is very, very insane and pretty crazy. So, for me, I think it's giving responsibility to department leads and just trying to solve people's problems. Like I always joke, like my goal as a COO is to solve people's problems. If I can solve people's problems and they can focus more time on their job, and if they focus more time on their job, the company succeeds because they're better at doing their job than I am at doing that job. But I might be better at solving the problems because most problems in companies are interdepartmental or are multifaceted, and problems that are just like within one department usually get solved very quickly. It's usually more when like, oh, like we're trying to work towards this joint thing, but I'm waiting on this and this is having issues. And that's where I really like to come in and try to optimize things and work through things. So um, I think that's the key thing, is just giving people autonomy and respect, but also building a very open culture to people, for people to share problems or when things aren't working, so that we as a team can collectively work together to fix it.
How do you balance as the team grows? Like it becomes kind of the analogy I always look at as like a speedboat versus a cruise ship, right? Like when you're small, you can make turns, you can pivot very quickly versus as everything continues to grow, it becomes harder and harder to pivot and change things up. It's like, how do you balance those two things as you scale?
Yeah, I think what like I don't want every decision to have to be rung up the flagpole. I don't want every decision to be like, yeah, like, hey, like I think this is an idea, so I'm going to tell this person, and that person tells that person, and that person tells that person, and you're finding Slack messages, and you're trying to book a call, and someone's idea took 4 days to get to the person who can improve it. To that analogy, I would prefer to have all the people on the cruise ship organized into their distinct groups, and for all of them to drive a speedboat. So the issue is with that is that if everyone's aligned, you can turn really fast. But if some people are turning fast and other people don't get the memo, you can crash. So there's pros and cons. I think what we're trying to build with the team is that multiple speedboat analogy where people can move and make decisions. Again, it can't be a decision where you're turning around and you're going to head on clash with someone, but you can make micro adjustments. And the thing is that you can make those micro adjustments and those changes, and the team hopefully has enough wherewithal and are checking their left and right to see that happen, right? Or it's like, if it's not just individual speedboats, it's like you have like a yacht and speedboats behind them, so to speak. And the yacht is like your team lead, and the speedboats can make the micro decisions. The yacht will then move, and it'll tell all the other yachts who will then move, which then their little speedboats behind them move. So it's like you don't have to tell 1,000 people. You just have to tell one person, and that one person has to tell 5 people. And now we're all moving in the same direction.